Students, this presentation is on again macronutrients. In that we are going to discuss about dietary fibers. So it's a part of the carbohydrates that we have already discussed in the previous presentation. Now what are these dietary fibers? The dietary fibers are that portion of carbohydrates in plants which are resistant to the action of what? Digestion or hydrolysis by enzyme system in the human beings. So the examples of these dietary fibers include cellulose, hemicellulose, lignins, pectins, gums, etc. Some of the bacteria in the large intestine of the humans can degrade the components of the dietary fiber and release products that can be easily absorbed and used as energy source. So it is not that always the dietary fibers go waste, that is they don't contribute for they don't have a nutrient value, but some of the fibers, so they can be acted upon by some of the bacteria in the gut to release products which could be absorbed by the small intestine and used as energy source. So there are two types of fibers based on the solubility: insoluble fibers and soluble fibers. Insoluble fibers as well as soluble fibers both are indigestible, but the insoluble fibers are insoluble in water, whereas soluble fibers are soluble in water. So this classification or the differentiation is mainly based on the solubility in water, but both of them are indigestible. But some of them could be acted upon by the bacteria of the gut and can release certain products which can be easily absorbed. Fine. So here there is a table which gives you the examples of insoluble fibers here: cellulose, hemicellulose and lignin. I think it is quite visible. Yeah. So the occurrence is you have it in the cell wall constituent of the plant. Okay, mainly they are all in the cell wall of the plant cells, and the sources of these include whole wheat, flour, bran, root, vegetables, legumes, etc. Here also again whole grains and roots of vegetables such as carrot, fruits with edible seeds, etc. So these are the examples of insoluble fibers. So in the next slide, I have the examples of soluble fibers like pectins and gums. Now these gums you would have seen on the bark of the trees. Fine, on the bark of the trees you would have seen gummy substance which comes out. So that is again a dietary fiber. So you have the source like see, that is what I was telling. Gums are secreted at the site of the plant injury by specialized secretory cells and can be exuded from the plant bark. Okay, sources for pectins include guavas, apples, strawberries, and for gums it includes gum arabic, that is the name of the tree, and oatmeal, barley, legumes, etc. So the sources other than these, as we have already discussed about the whole grain vegetables. So let us see the percentage of these dietary fibers. Whole cereal flour contributes about 8 to 15% of the total dietary fibers. Pulses about 32 to 40%. 8 to 10% in split pulses or the dals. Nuts without the skin have around 9.3%, and fresh vegetables have about 1.3 to 7.8%, and dry vegetables are even more. 9.6 to 14.4% of the dietary fibers are contributed by dry vegetables. Okay, like your the dry seeds from the beans and all that. Now let us go through the beneficiary effects or the role of dietary fibers. First of all, it diminishes absorption of lipids. Now what happens here? The soluble and insoluble dietary fibers affect lipid absorption by adsorbing. Adsorbing is different, and please, absorption is different. Absorption is to absorb into the small intestine, whereas adsorption is just like tagging on to the surface of these lipids. So these dietary fibers, whether soluble or insoluble dietary fibers, they tag on to the fatty acids, cholesterol and bile acids within the digestive tract. So because of this, the bound dietary fibers because of being bound to the dietary fibers, cholesterol and bile acids cannot form micelles. Micelle formation you would have studied under the digestion and absorption or transportation of lipids. They are very important. Micelle formation is very important for the villi of the small intestine to absorb the lipid droplets, because the bulk lipid which you take in the diet is actually broken down into smaller bits which are, along with the bile acids and bile salts, form micelles, and the smaller bits of these lipid would easily cross the villi of the small intestine. So the bound cholesterol and the bile acids cannot form micelles and therefore cannot be absorbed into the small intestine. Instead, they pass into the large intestine for secretion in the fecal matter, or they can also be degraded by the intestinal bacteria. So this very much is helpful in reducing the serum cholesterol levels. Guar gum, oats and pectin are some of the examples of the dietary fiber which help in lowering the serum cholesterol and thus prevent coronary heart diseases. The next importance of dietary fiber is it helps in delayed gastric emptying and prevents diabetes mellitus. So what is this? It prevents gastric emptying means the intake of fibers will give you a feeling of satiety or satiation or satisfaction of the food that you have taken in, and you don't feel like eating more. Let us see the details of this point. So the water soluble fibers such as pectin, gums have high water holding capacity and they form viscous solution within the gastrointestinal tract. So when the fibers form viscous gel, because these soluble fibers, they trap large amount of water and they become viscous. So when the fibers become viscous jelly like, the release of chyme from the stomach, you would have learnt in the digestion chapter that after the mouth cavity, then the digestion happens even in the stomach, wherein the food is converted into a paste like thing called chyme. So the release of chyme from the stomach into the duodenum is delayed, because thus the nutrients remain in the stomach for a longer time and the process of digestion is slowed down, and this creates a feeling of postprandial satiety. That is, after 2 hours of intake you don't feel like eating. If you have lot of diet, if you have dietary fibers in your diet, it gives you a feeling of satisfaction even after 2 hours, and this will prevent you from feeling hungry. So this also, when the digestion process is slowed down, even the absorption is slowed down and the release of glucose into the blood is also slowed down. So this lowers glucose absorption as well, and insulin requirement is also lowered, because the blood glucose level is also maintained for a longer time. So that's how dietary fibers are helpful in preventing overeating, because you feel you feel your stomach is full. That is what is meant here by saying delayed gastric emptying, means you feel filled with the food because the process of digestion is slowed down and the absorption is slowed down, which in turn reduces the blood glucose level, or in fact it maintains the blood glucose level in a normal range for a longer period of time, and the insulin requirement is again not required or it is reduced. So this prevents diabetes. Otherwise, when there is a lot amount of increase in the glucose level in the blood, insulin has to be repeatedly produced, which at one point in time in your life, what happens is there is what is called as insulin resistance would develop, which would not sense the increase in the blood glucose level. So intake of fibers are very important to have a minimal usage of insulin in the cells. Now the next point is it increases fecal volume and prevents constipation. So again, the unfermentable fibers like cellulose, lignin, along with certain fermentable fibers like hemicellulose, help in the growth of microbes in the colon. So the fecal bulk is usually made up of unfermented fibers, salts, water and microbial mass. Put together, it increases the volume of the fecal bulk, and the fecal volume along with the water retaining capacity of the fiber contributes to soft tools and ease of defecation. That is, you don't feel, you need to put pressure in, excreting the fecal matter. So that's how it prevents constipation. Then lastly, we have one more point here, helps in detoxification and prevents colon cancer. How is it? So the increased microbial growth due to the fibers that just now we saw in the previous point results in growth of more fibers because of the, so the unfermentable fibers are very important for the growth of the microbes in the gut. So the increased microbial flora scavenges and cuts down the toxins, and it is eventually excreted out through the large intestine. So certain colonic bacteria are also found to inhibit the proliferation of tumor cells or delay in the tumor formation also. For example, the bacteria like L. acidophilus reduces the activity of enzymes that are concerned in the conversion of procarcinogens or inactive carcinogens to active carcinogens. So this bacteria prevents the conversion of procarcinogens to active form. And dietary fibers, since they are bound to bile acids, there are facts which tell that bile acids are also responsible, or they play a role in causing mutations. So since the bile acids would be bound to dietary fibers, they prevent the mutations as well. And the water holding capacity of the fiber would also dilute the carcinogens to non-toxic levels. And since the water holding capacity and the bulk volume, increase in the bulk volume of the fecal matter helps in the speeding up of the passage of fecal bulk through the large intestine, and therefore carcinogens are not allowed to be in contact with the intestinal wall for a longer time. So all these points put together help in preventing cancers related to colon and also help in detoxification of the human system. Lastly, again, there's a point which talks about the weight control. So we have already discussed about the satiety, that is the second point. So high fiber content will increase the satiety or feeling of satisfaction within you. So you tend to eat less, and this prevents overeating. And obviously overeating would prevention of overeating would also help in controlling the weight. And fiber based food takes a long time to eat as it has to be chewed well. So this again promotes secretion of saliva and gastric juice, which causes expansion of the stomach, and again increases or decrease and again it increases the feeling of satiation because the digestion process is slowed down and the rate of ingestion or eating is also slowed down back to the mouth cavity. And the fibers are also known to prevent ischemic heart disease. What do you mean by ischemic heart disease? There will be irregular heartbeats. That is what is called as ischemic heart disease. And there is prevention of gallstones, arthritis, dental caries, hypertension and strokes also reported because of the intake of fibers. So these are some of the beneficiary effects or importance of dietary fibers. Now what happens when excess of fibers are taken in? So that is what is meant by limitations or disadvantage. So it reduces nutrient absorption. So dietary fibers are susceptible to physical disintegration. So due to the agitation or the peristaltic movement and the action of certain bacteria, as I told you, can disintegrate the fibers into small particles, and this will reduce, and this size reduction of the dietary fiber particles and the dispersal of soluble fibers, since they're water soluble, some of the fibers they get dispersed among the nutrients like beta glucans and pectins, and they cause a delay in the uptake of nutrients by the epithelial lining of the intestine, by which time they will be pushed into the large intestine for excretion. So what I meant here is dietary fibers which are soluble in water and which could be, I have also told you that certain bacteria in the first slide, let me take you to the first slide here. Certain bacteria can act on the dietary fibers, releasing products that can be absorbed. Fine. So, by the action of these kind of bacteria as well as by the soluble fibers, the fiber particles get smaller in size and they mix up with the nutrients. So this delays or obstruct the uptake of nutrients by the epithelial lining of the small intestine, by which time the nutrients can be pushed into the large intestine for excretion. So excess of fiber is also not good because it reduces the uptake of required nutrients. And again, it is a barrier to digestion also, because the fibers may form a covering over the nutrients and act as a physical barrier between the nutrients and their digestive enzymes. So, for example, legume seeds have a thick wall which resist breakdown during the process of cooking or mastication or the chewing process, and this reduces the glucose absorption. So these particles can interfere with this. For example, the legume seed fibers will interfere in the glucose absorption because they form a coating over the glucose molecules which are formed, and they prevent the enzymes to act on it, and that's how they cause barrier to digestion. Vegetarians who consume high fiber diet excrete more of estrogen also, the female reproductive organ responsible for reproduction as well as the secondary sexual characters in females. So this in turn causes abdominal discomfort and diarrhea due to the bacterial action in the colon. So these are some of the ill effects of high intake of dietary fibers. The RDA suggests that around 20 to 35 grams of fiber is recommended for a long-term health. However, up to 40 grams out of 2000 kilocalories of energy which comes from the carbohydrates, up to 40 grams can include dietary fibers, and it is found to be safe. But intake of 60 grams is harmful. So this completes carbohydrates and its extension topic, that is dietary fibers as well. In the next PPT, I shall be discussing on lipids. So we'll be left with lipids and proteins. Vitamins and minerals I would be giving you in the form of table, wherein I would show the source, biological importance and the deficiency disease. So this is enough for vitamins and minerals, which I'll be not making a video lecture for it, but I shall give you in the form of a notes or the material. So 2 more PPTs, one on lipids and proteins should be done. Thank you.